All right, we're good?
We're good.
Attention, hot private. This is the War on Comics. I'm Colin.
I'm Omar.
Look, we're back. We're on volume 12 of 16. We are home stretch. We're
beginning to see the light.
It's what do they call it? A fraction, a reducible fraction?
A reducible fraction. We are 16. We're going on 12 now.
This is
16 issues.
Yes. So we are 3/4 of the way through-ish, if my math is right.
I think that's correct.
Okay. This is Rick's story. Our hero Cerebus finds himself in the purgatory of a bar that he was at previously in Guise.
This is the dark side. We haven't even begun to experience the darkness in this world.
So we're gonna tear open this one and find out how old Cerebus is holding up now that he's met. That's kind of a nightmare, I guess.
Yeah.
The woman you've been lusting after, her husband or ex-husband, strolls in, and then you have this strange commonality.
And your buddies.
Because why not? I mean, it's all in the past. What a circumstance. Can you imagine what that would be like? Well,
you don't have to. It's in Rick's story.
let's do this proper and dive in.
See you in.
Okay, so when we last left Cerebus, it was Guise, right? Which was kind of a meditation on bar culture to some extent. I believe in the liner notes, Simmons said, at one point he said that Rick was kind of like his only true good character, you know?
Yeah.
And I think he just wanted to sort of explore this side of masculinity and kind of flesh this guy out who we were introduced to in Jakka's story and left off with him sort of forcefully separated from Jakka due to some machinations of the Cyrenists.
Of the state.
Yes. So he just pops into this bar that Cerebus is kind of stranded in, and
look at my man's.
It's an interesting arc because he's getting along great with him. They're enjoying their time. He's getting him caught up. This is actually for my Cerebus heads. I underline this because this is one of the most important refrains in the saga. This guy, I forgot who. Oh yes, Jesus Christ. So Victor Reed, one of the guys who was an author from the in-universe author from the previous volume. He's talking to Rick here, and he's telling her about Jakka, which I forget exactly the context of why he knows her, but he said she's basically an unhappy person. He said, with the unhappy ones, you've got to be happy enough for two. You're a naturally happy person, and as long as you stay that way, you'll do fine. This is a fucking harrowing line.
Wow.
I think, in comics, it's one thing, but like
knowing who he is
in life,
I
think that rings true. There are certain women as a man, maybe it works the other way around. I don't know. But speaking as a man, there are...
It probably goes both ways, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be on, I guess, when you deal with someone who's just that idea. Jesus Christ. And
It's hard. It's hard to think about.
Put myself in that category of a naturally unhappy person. Resting mode of fucking drag. And like when you are in
the same.
It's a very strenuous thing in a relationship to have to be the person that props the other person up when they are a miserable fuck. And I think it's
devastating. Like that line from that angle is like,
and it's obviously he's talking about Jakka, and it rings true for Jakka, but it's also like, again, in real life, that is just a cut straight to the point slice of the human experience. You are going to come across people who are naturally unhappy, and should you serve to be in a relationship with that person, you are going to be on the fucking cross. Now, what
Right.
happens when you get two unhappy people together? Well,
Wow.
we won't get into that. Anyways, telling him this story, and I think, again, I don't know, maybe this era of Cerebus is just intensely human. Like, I think beyond the world building, which is obviously a huge part of it, it's just Sim breaking down the human experience.
Yeah.
You know, and this is
his bar exploration
right.
is seeming to be like the bar to me, I think, is representing like not purgatory, but like that feeling of like stuck, like you feel stuck in this lower zone of like just wallowing in your feelings, because everyone is wallowing in their feelings. And even from the last bar story, I mean, it was more fun, I think.
Right.
Like this is getting to like the dark side of like brotherhood and manhood kind of stuff, and like it's from a very specific point of view. It's from Dave Sim's point of view of the male experience, like,
right.
tinged with a little bit of that acid kind of leaning, like especially in this book. There's those like Sid Barrett-esque fucking like flourishes around here.
Well, if I may, I mean, Cerebus is behind the bar in this case. Before he was, amongst the rabble, if you will. In this case, he's behind the bar. He's wearing the suit. There is the distinction between Cerebus and whoever walks in the bar. And so I think, in a sense, that's like an outsider quality.
Yeah.
You know, you are separated from the rabble, and so you are in a position to make these observations on the rabble. And I think, like, what a unique experience. You have, Rick kind of talking locker room talk, as they say, about this woman that Cerebus is obsessed with. And what a
so he sees that, right? Like at this moment, we're not realizing why these two visuals are happening, but it's because Rick actually can visualize this other like
how furious
dimension.
Like, and of course, this is a little bit of craft, but this like demonic rage that Cerebus is having, because Rick's kind of talking crazy. He's talking out of line.
He is getting a little bit out of line, and you see why here. Like he does kind of, he knows what he's doing right now.
Right.
He knows that he shouldn't be like dangling this kind of carrot, and because he knows Cerebus is going to get pissed. He's doing it to get at him.
And it wraps up in the sense of like, this is some part of the human experience that I have difficulty with, which is like the guy that gets drunk and acts like an asshole. To me, as someone who doesn't drink, I don't have that like, I've been wasted and acted like an asshole, so this guy can get wasted and act like an asshole. I think there's like a tit for tat in that community, if you will.
I think so.
Which I have no tit. I'm never titting. If I'm an asshole, which is frequently, it's because I'm dead sober. I have no fucking reason.
It's with intention.
Yeah, it's because I'm a fucking prick,
Me too.
And I have to live or die as a fucking prick. Whereas if you're Rick here and you just get wasted, you can kind of and say a bunch of greasy shit. You can come back the next day and say, hey, look, I went too far. I drank a little too much, but here's my thing. Here's what we're going to do. We're
sort of detachment kind of thing.
He kind of tells him that he needs to, limit himself to 2 drinks a day. And, all is kind of forgiven, but that's that bar culture, and
And there he goes again. He's telling him this story. And in here, I think he's just kind of like talking about his troubles with the women in his life, and he's kind of saying like, you don't really know about that, right, Cerebus? Like, kind of just getting under his skin, which is like,
I mean, Rick is, and again, to the original point, Sim said that Rick is supposed to be, well, not necessarily supposed to be, but just the way he panned out in Jakka's story, like a good dude.
Yeah.
And so this whole saga is complicating that, and not necessarily No, he's unlikable.
He kind of is.
Any
Yeah.
of the charm that he had originally is completely dusted at this point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, he's inviting him up to his pad, and of course, as a bartender, he gets a nicer room.
Yeah.
Um,
He's kind of like that fucking rube that just comes back to town like that drunken. I mean, he's playing the drunk. You know?
yes, and this is this is a very masculine moment here, right? This is a very male experience thing. He was playing sports with a bear earlier and enjoying himself, and you sort of saw the dynamic they had here. But when he's playing with Rick, who's like, um, it's a strange thing to say because he's failing masculinity, not in the sense of being like a wimp or a sensitive artist type. In a sense, I think if he was, an effete, artsy type, it'd be fine. But because he kind of presents as this man's man, but then as soon as he gets hit with the fucking ball,
welt.
Yeah, instead
he
of
says, "You broke my arm,"
right?
Like, yeah, it's silly. It's like you kind of see honestly, that reminds me of like growing up. There was like this church kid,
Yeah,
and he was like the tough. He was bigger than all of us, and like, one time, like I think one of the homies in the squad like kind of stepped to him, and he completely like, oh my god,
right.
like, what
I'm telling my mom.
I'm telling, like, went
like
from
that.
this tough guy, like all this whole like masculine, like badass alpha bullshit, and then like gets confronted, and it's completely like not self-aware at all.
And it's that's very challenging growing up.
Yeah.
Being in adolescence, you're trying to find your way to fit in with this masculine world. But here we're given a shot of a adult man, and him having that kind of childish character. It's difficult to read. It's a repellent kind of person. This is some important foreshadowing for later books because you're sort of he's entering this kind of religious imagery, and basically in his delusions, he's seeing the words of Cerebus as having some maybe more weight than they should.
Yeah, I think this is Sim talking about. And Sim, if you ever get in the comments, please feel free to clarify any of this. But this does feel like he's kind of commenting on like those artists that they have like that, like, oh, the spirit just takes over,
right?
And it's really just their deepest, like, grossest thoughts, and like they're just putting their own kind of like dark shit on the paper, and calling it like inspiration.
It's you just don't respect Rick as an artist, because
really
maybe
don't.
he doesn't have the craft necessarily.
And like this kind of stuff, it makes it ugly. It makes creation ugly, and like this is what they think of him,
Right, and yet at the same time, Rick's looking at Cerebus. Oh yeah, some little psychic warfare there.
Cartooning is amazing.
Yeah, he's having a fun time. He's the weight of all the characters here. But as Cerebus is sort of like dictating to him, Rick is just buying into it wholeheartedly, partially, the drunkenness or the naivete.
Yeah.
Either way, he's seeing, the the true decree of a spiritual leader.
Yeah.
Go on, beat it,
scram. I just had this whole. I think that this whole this is a splash page to me.
Yes, and he's having this kind of religious experience, seeing
and
these
just
visions.
In that touch right there, like the crack.
Yeah,
like, that's a S tier complete. Like, if we're keeping count, I think that's in the S tier.
He's crushing it, and you kind of get into this like religious texts that again comes into play pretty heavily later in Cerebus.
All this stuff was really interesting when this character starts coming into the fold.
Right, because that's Joan, right?
Yeah.
And she had previously been in a relationship with Cerebus. Things kind of soured because he was planning on leaving, and then Rick showed up, and now, Again, this is kind of an ugly side
Yeah, it gets kind of
being
like,
a man,
sad.
but like at some point, your friend or someone who you like is gonna hook up with a girl that you had a thing with, and you got to figure out exactly how you're gonna, how it's gonna hit you, and obviously, it doesn't hit Cerebus well, but
Yeah.
also could be much worse. All things considered, and I don't know, man. It's not a fun position
Fucking yeah.
to be in at all. When you're kind of getting done proverbially dirty like this. But chances are, if a gal is going after one of your friends, you probably did something that deserves it, or he's not a good friend to begin with. But
that's what I was gonna say too. Yeah.
Having the intellect to make these decisions versus feeling like this inside.
Just completely like, I guess you would call this ruminating or something.
Right, and just it's just all ego shit. It's very hard to take on the chin. But again, this is the male experience here,
and I think it really specifies like these guys were bros,
right?
These guys at one point they were throwing a ball at a wall,
right?
In the apartment they both shared, and it feels like there could have been like a kinship here.
Yeah,
but they just can't, because like this is when we get into like cosmic Cerebus and like it's just faded. Like it feels like their relationship, or all of Cerebus's relationships, it's just fate, and he has to go through these dark cycles. Like
right, yeah, and this is there's this kind of like meeting that, or this like dance that the Cyrenists throw, where the males can pair up with the females. He gets stood up at it by his date, and
girl.
He gets he like fell
or something.
Yeah, or hit himself. There's some kind of like real pity party thing that goes down, and
again we go right back into it.
Yeah, just drinking to get away from it, and then she shows up, and basically Rick is Cerebus is stoked that Rick doesn't like her anymore because she stood him up. But of course, whether or not you want to take this as an unfavorable portrayal of women, or maybe a realistic portrayal of woman, a certain kind of woman, if you will. I don't know. There's some kind of
there seems to be a repetition, kind of.
Or there's a I don't know, testing of boundaries that certain women will participate in, where they want to see how much they can get away with.
Yeah, and like where your boundaries are.
Exactly. And, look, this stuff does happen, and it kind of goes down as you see it play out here, where she kind of, pleads for forgiveness, touches him up, and to
whole vision is crazy.
To Cerebus, he's just wants this division to happen because he doesn't like these people mixing up. But Rick is a man of flesh. This is a lot of drunken sequences going on in kind of like dream states.
This kept me up at night. This was some Lynch shit right here.
For sure. And more of the kind of religious aping, which is
Deer Hunter.
This stuff is really convenient because it is like I think it's King James style, where you'll have like a summary of everything you're reading here.
That's cool.
So if you want to really get into all the work that Dave Sim did, which is a lot of work, it's all there. But if you just kind of want a summary, you can get away with reading those. I'll allow you to.
More of these. These are good.
Yeah.
I do remember the first read on this, because I did I have to do 2 reads of these to really to see if I get it. I didn't realize that it was that style. I just read it as like, oh, it's priming it, and then you get to like.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, again, the Bible stuff will come into play in the next, maybe not the next chapter, but I think it's like 15 is where it's like really
overt,
kind of lost in the reads, because that is, of course, like the main arc of this, and it starts to come into play on this volume. I think that's largely what derails the comic for a lot of people, is the obsession with religious texts. But I would.
fits.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, I guess. Either way, I think this is a pretty interesting um, idea. It's an interesting portrayal of the genesis, as it were, of a religious ideal. Whereas this drunk sitting in a bar listening to Cerebus turns into holy scripture because
Yeah.
of how he perceives Cerebus, and of course, Cerebus has that religious tie to being, various a pope and all that. So he's not totally removed from that spiritual world,
Right.
or his place in being seen as a spiritual leader. So it's not totally unfounded, but at the same time, obviously, if this is your prophet,
Yeah.
he's a delusional person and a very fragile person because, yeah, he's
Look
very.
at this. And in front of you. It's like happening in,
Yes.
like, while you are in the existence, you know?
Yeah, it's the disparity of what Cerebus says
Mhm.
and why he's saying it. Because, of course, everything he's saying is basically like, just don't fuck my ex.
Yeah. But he's seeing it as like this weird doctrine kind of thing. These moments are fucking wild.
So Cerebus is very, he has an agenda. Rick is a fragile person. He's, falling into the delusion of it all. Joan, of course, is having a gay old time. She's just having a good time. We all we love a Joan.
She doesn't realize, like, the kind of like insidiousness is that I don't think she really knows their background. Like
right.
Throughout this whole thing, it's just like Cerebus just moved in terms of this chapter, this like where we're at in the story. Their relationship was fresh.
Yeah, and I don't think you could necessarily say that she's just trying to make Cerebus jealous in a way of like trying to get Cerebus back. She could very well be out of spite. Could very well be that she's just bored and likes Rick.
There's no one else around.
Yeah, being a non-Cyrenist or like not really being a more liberated woman. There's not really a lot of options here, so
it gives nihilism in the face of like both of these kind of like. They are super obsessed with their vision of
the Janus intro. You're about to watch some cinema when you see
right there. The color of pomegranates. This is in that. It's still very high caliber here.
I like this run again. I think it's the kind of cross wires of the religion thing are interesting. To me, I think what the comic does best, if you will, as a whole, is kind of communicate that male experience. And this is a very dude comic. This run at least, and I think there's a lot in it that maybe just I relate to personally from my experiences. But
I mean, I imagine in this era too, when this is coming out,
this is like mid to late 90s. Like what there is
nothing else like
unparalleled story.
Nothing else.
No. What are you reading that's getting into the human experience like this? I don't know why, but I always think of like Clerks as this very touchstone moment. And this was probably around the same time. Or even Seinfeld to some extent.
Whoa,
like portrayals of men and women that I grew up as like hitting puberty watching and like trying to see that as a model for dating, for romance and all of that. And you look back at those stories specifically and they're so simple. Jerry just has this rotating cast of far out of his league women around and they're on and off for really unnecessary reasons. And then Clerks is fascinating because it's just like, God, it's aged so poorly, but at the time it felt like, oh no, he's really stressed out about the amount of dicks this lady sucked. Like, that's a big deal. That's a real story. This is a real thing. It's the fucking stupidest plot point.
But it's so funny and specific to that story.
And very specific to when you're 12 years old. Like, literally, you're like, at that point, like, oh my God, that would be such a stressful situation if your girlfriend sucked 37 dicks.
It's such a, like, it is a very naive take on that, like, interplay and like
Right.
how social like things that happen. But I mean, I think there is like this thing that happened where we weren't hyper modern yet, and
Right.
there's these
Yeah.
ideas that are so like unique because they weren't fucking touched by the internet.
Yes, and Kevin Smith gets to come to this point of like, man, that would be crazy if that's a hard thing to deal with, knowing someone that sucked 37 dicks. Like you have
Right.
to live with that, and like he came to those conclusions on his
On his
own.
own
I guess
writing,
it was
yeah.
not like, and he doesn't have the panopticon of
There you
sorts.
go.
You know, like if you pull up TikTok and you're like, fellas, what would you do? And you know, then you have your fucking bomb with comments like, bro,
Yeah.
shut up.
Yeah.
This is cringe. That's the bottom line, is you just don't have someone in your ear nonstop telling
Yeah.
you that your ideas are fucking cringe and stupid. And so
They're not shaping your fucking morals. They're not shaping your view of the world. And like I think as we keep coming back to this, like there's some things that are ugly that like looking back at it now, it's like a not evolved view
Right.
of some things. But I would say that what I'm finding in each and every issue is that he is telling his I'm not going to say his truth because I think that's kind of corny. I think he is just absolutely in that flow state of just like pushing.
Yeah, communicating this world to people. And I guess the reason I bring up, these kind of mainstream media shows
Mm-hmm.
is like this, in contrast to that, which was from the same era, has so much more depth to it. You
Yeah.
know, like again, this is a very complex relationship. They're giving a very complicated, version of masculinity, and yeah, this is a profound.
Right here. Yeah. It gets kind of.
Yeah, he kind of calls Cerebus out on BSing, and because Joan is communicating his ideas to him, and yeah, I think he says, yeah, he's doing this weird like
He's saying some
ritual
weird
about
shit. Yeah.
basically breaking up with him, but
Like he's had enough of right there, the branch.
um,
He gives him the olive branch.
we'll see each other only one more time after today. Goodbye. And it's like, I mean, in all fairness, Rick's been kind of a heel this whole time, but that's a fucking bar. You say that to someone after doing some weird ritual with breaking a stick, that's fucking tough. So he leaves at a fucking real hard stance, and then Cerebus is weirded out by all of it.
Yeah.
He's not sure if he can leave, and of course, you, the reader, are unsure if Cerebus is if this is a reliable narrator, what is actually happening
This
here.
part was crazy,
trapped
man.
in the bar. He's trying to leave, but the spell kind of binds him, and yeah, you just have this.
Sim. So badass, dude. I saw that shit. It was so hyped.
Yeah, boom. Big reveal. And Sim comes into the bar and starts talking to him, which is, he's had these conversations before. And yeah, he's kind of, if I'm to remember this properly, he's like, this is boring as shit. You need to fucking do something.
He's telling him, like, for the love of God, you need to leave this bar.
Yes, and here's all the numbers laid out of the future issues. And oh yeah,
by the way, my favorite detail is him scratching his back.
Because yeah, you're seeing Gerhard lose his mind sketching all this stuff out. Man,
this got me, man. This was another level to just how I think this is meta narrative before things were even being called that. Like Matrix was probably like a gleam in somebody's eye, like this kind of work is reflecting what it means to be a reader in comics. It's not telling you like, oh, this comic is so meta and like there's levels to this comic. It's actually like showing you to kind of bring you back into like,
and you're also as a reader feeling this strain that they're feeling as creators, which is like, yeah, we have spent an awful long time in this fucking bar, and I'm appreciating all the crazy psychedelic sequences and everything, but at the same time, can something fucking happen in the story already? And as Dave departs,
it gets to
he's doing some classic model wallowing.
Yep.
Leaves the package, opens the package,
and boom.
There's Missy, there's Jakar, and we are now moving forward in the story. And yeah, they have it. This is one of those things that, a very deeply Canadian quality to me is like a hokiness,
Yeah.
And this is the kind of thing
like very earnest.
Like, I would believe maybe these two characters would find this funny, but as a reader, he really gets some mileage on this Missy, the doll being a drunk. Doll. Not as good of a bit as he maybe thinks it is.
When you set it up earlier.
Yeah, it's I understand it's communicated that this is funny to them and amusing to them and bonds them, but as a reader, I don't know that it's quite the knee slapper. Yeah. Again, deeply Canadian. Deeply Canadian. That's all. That's the only thing I'll say. But
now we're in that reality of, this note. He got he was able to get his connection, that final connection, and now this is kind of like what Dave Sim gave notice about. Like, some shit's gonna happen.
Yeah, and ultimately, we're back. It's Jakar and Cerebus, and the epilogue. The other barflies who took leave earlier, they start to return.
Yeah,
and there's two significant things happening here. First of all, is Cerebus is enjoying himself. Jakar's getting irritated. Cerebus is reminded of this kind of schism of being in a relationship with a princess while you are a kind of salt in the earth.
Like working class Joe, almost.
Yeah, like I'm going to throw this out there. This might be the first time this phrase has ever been said, like an alt-galoot. You're a galoot, you're a working class schmo. But there's so much turmoil and a deep inner world in Cerebus's mind. Yeah. You can't quite call him a galoot or a schmo.
Common. No way.
Alt-galoot. Yeah. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah. I like that for this guy.
Yeah, Cerebus or Jakar is annoyed. Cerebus ultimately sees that he has to decide between hanging with the fellas or kicking rocks with Jakar, and he signs off to Bear and Company.
Yeah.
And dips.
This is actually right there. That's when I was like, all right, yeah, that's from Sim right there.
And they're off. And I think. Yeah, this kind of ties in with that deeply unhappy person quality that they kind of mentioned earlier. I forgot if they mention it by name here.
When he's talking to the fellas?
Cerebus is just remembering that line, and because he remembers it a lot in the later, in the forthcoming issues.
There was a part when he's kind of getting like shit on by the guys.
But either way, he recalls that I gotta take some responsibility here, and so they hit the road.
So now, is this Jakar's story too?
This is Jakar and Cerebus' story. They're finally, everything is cleared up, and it's just these two, and this is the love of his life, yada yada. And will they make it work? Will these two kids get things going?
Will they finally find happiness? I have a feeling they don't. But
between Guy's and Rick's story, they're both kind of standalone in their own way, following that long mothers and daughters saga. But Guy's, I think, is a very much so bottle episode, kind of a reprieve. This one brings back the lore, and of course is propelling Cerebus out of the fucking bar finally. Yeah. But as a story, how do you stand with it?
I think it's still like a very Sim DNA through and through. Every story that illuminates another character is illuminating Cerebus' story.
Right.
And I think in that way I'm seeing the myth making. Like the myth maker is making his myth through these pages.
Right.
And I think that's amazing.
No,
it kind of fucks me up, honestly. And granted, like it's this is the first time I'm experiencing this art, and it is right up my alley of like the cartooning, the craftsmanship. It's up there with, it's better than a lot of the independent comics that were coming out.
And I would say, as far as the depth of characters go, I think maybe that's what I'm taken aback by rereading it this time around, is like, these are such real figures and such real characters, and like no one gets away, other than like, the background characters, being like flat or dull.
Yeah, no way.
Everyone has their time to shine. You have to see the kind of ugly underbelly with everyone. And I guess it's kind of knowing where the story goes. It's interesting to see that religious delusions of Rick, and kind of knowing where these prophecies that he understands go to. It's really impressive how just like all of these stories are, how
they land, I think, is really interesting.
Well, it's the architecture in place.
Yeah.
Like there's so many seeds planted, and it all kind of, payoff might not be the word, because it's not like, oh, that rocked.
right.
But
exactly.
Even like, you never thought in reading the last 5 volumes of Cerebus, you're like, what's Rick been up to?
No, who brought you here?
And what a great idea to make him kind of suck.
Yeah, I think that was an interesting take, because first you think of him as like the tragic, like schmuck, like he got screwed over, but actually he's one of those insidious nice guys that they talk about.
That's it. That's the word.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He's a fucking nice guy.
A fucking worm.
Like he is. And this is a great example of like the flip side of narcissism is like, oh God, like I have all the issues, and like,
this happened. It always happens to me.
Why me? Yeah.
Right.
But it's so true to a guy like this, like it is. I think what Dave sees is like like you were saying, the failure of like being a whole person.
Right.
I think it's beyond just a like male-female dichotomy. I think he always goes after like, yeah, you think you're so sick, but you don't know shit. Like there's that instance of calling out I want to say incongruencies of humanity or whatever, but like those things that are like the fakeness of reality.
Or a 3-dimensional character is not always nice to look at.
Yeah,
it can kind of suck, and I think this is a real interesting dive into that. So
did this era of Sim, like, was this influencing like the preacher stuff?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, it would be hard to imagine that it wouldn't. Maybe not like the week-to-week stuff that was coming out, but like, the classic stories. I mean, again, I think everyone who knew comics and was deep into comics at the time was reading Cerebus.
Ooh.
So I'm sure those old stories held some sway. But at this point in the story, Sim would say, like, people just were not fucking reading them. Between the industry crashing and him getting a lot of backlash for the shit he got backlash for, he's in a bubble. And it kind of stays in a bubble till the end of the story.
I am super stoked that we are continuing the march. I think that's like, this has been a worthy book.
Absolutely. We got 4 more volumes to go. Stick with us. We'll see you then. Should we put them at ease?
Give them the
at ease. Private.